So I got a question from one of my hub members. The question is this: I want to create an automation for my monthly newsletter that goes out on the second Monday of every month. He goes on to explain a little bit about it, but essentially he wants to figure out how inside Kit he can create an automation that makes sure that the email goes out, this monthly newsletter goes out on the second Monday of each month. So I'm going to show you an automation that I created to do exactly that thing in this video. So first of all, in this automation, I've set up a trigger of a tag. Okay, so the tag being set up second day of month. Now this automation works for any day and any instance of that day. So this particular example I'm showing you is the second Monday of each month, because that's what the question was. But it could equally be the third Friday of each month, or the second Tuesday, or the fourth Wednesday. It could be whatever one of those days you want, using this same logic and this same automation. So the trigger for this automation is this tag being applied to a subscriber's profile. If they get that tag, they'll enter this automation. So the first thing I do is I remove the tag. Once I'm in here, I remove it. That's so that if this automation wants to be used more than one time, by removing the tag, then if they get the tag added again at some future point, that will trigger the automation again. So I remove it first thing, and then in here I capture the current date. So this is known as a little bit of liquid code. This now date, and then the format into that particular format. And what that's doing is it's setting the date for right now, as in when that person has come through the automation. And it's important we do that here because we're going to use it for reference further down. So then we check to see, has the custom field current day of month, is it greater than or equal to 8? In other words, has it passed the 8th day of the month? So if it's past the 8th day of the month, it means that it's into the second week. Okay, if it's equal to 8 or greater, then it's into the second week. So this is a conditional check I'm doing here. If the answer is yes, it goes down this path. If the answer is no, then it goes down this path. I wait for one day, and then I add the tag again. Now, by adding the tag, what that does is it brings them down, drops them out the automation, but it adds them back into the top of the automation. Okay, and then it goes through the same process. And it will just, if the answers to that is still no, it will go down. It will wait for another day. So it's almost like a ticking clock. It just waits one day, goes around a loop, goes back, waits one day, checks again, and continues that way. So eventually it'll say yes, if it isn't already, and it'll come down here, and then we need to do another check, this time for checking for week 2, or the second instance. So has the custom field current day of month less than or equal to 14? So now we're saying, we now know that it's greater than or equal to 8, so we now know it's in the second week, and now we're saying is it less than 14. So if it's greater than or equal to 8 and less than 14, we know it's in week 2. So if the answer to that is yes, then we know we're in the right week, and we can send them the sequence. If the answer is no, we do the same thing again. We drop out, we wait for one day, we add the tag, and they join the top of the automation again, and then it will trickle its way through. It will wait another day. So let's imagine the date was the 9th of the month. Then it would say at this point, yes, it's greater than 8, and it would come down here, it would sit and say, is it less than or equal to 14? It would say yes, and it would drop down there. However, if we flip that on its head and say, let's imagine the day they enter the automation is the 16th of the month, then what will happen is it will come down here, it'll get to the first check, and it'll say, is it greater than or equal to 8? Well, 16 is greater than 8, so yes, it'll come down here. And then it'll say, is it less than or equal to 14? Well, the answer to that is no, because it's 16. So what that in effect would mean is that it would come down here, it would wait for another day, and it would go around the loop again. So it would do that for the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, all the way around, back to until it gets to less than or equal 14, and then it'll drop into here. So the way people navigate to the email sequence is determined by the logic inside the automation. and providing you set the numbers based on what you want to achieve from the automation, it just works automatically every time. And then how you control the actual day of the week is inside the sequences itself. So if you're going to send the sequence, if I click on the sequence and then I go to settings at the top right, opens up a new window, and then in here what I've done is I've restricted it to only send on Mondays. So when it comes into the automation, this is true and this is true, then it gets the sequence, and it only gets the sequence on a Monday. So let's say it arrives in here, and it happens to be a Saturday. Well, it won't send that email to that person until Monday comes around. So it will sit in this sequence Saturday, Sunday, and then when Monday comes around, it will send the email out to it. Equally, if they happen to arrive inside the sequence on a Tuesday, they'll sit inside that sequence from the Tuesday all the way through that week until the following Monday, which will be deemed to be the second Monday of the month. So what we found that quite useful. It's quite an elegant solution, and like I say, it works for any instance, either the first, second, third, fourth of any day of any month, if you want to make sure your emails or your newsletters go out on a particular day. Any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.